those pieces up. We had communicated with Hobie that we were bringing back responses to a few articles. Do you want us to go first with those responses and then have you present what you guys have brought back or brought new for us, or how would you like to do that?
Yeah, why don't you guys go ahead and show us the counters, and then because we got a lot of new language,
Okay.
new articles, so we'll give that to you, then we caucus. We'll have something to work on, right?
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, so Marissa has, we kind of did it packet style, like a little bit like you
Kinda
guys
like
did, like you guys did last time. So that way you'll have, we're going to hand out basically a packet of all the things that we're bringing back.
Okay.
In the email, I think we said that we would bring responses on Article 7, 8, 12, 13, and 20, but we'll go through those each one by one.
There's two here.
And I'll wait for her to pass that out.
Put that out there. There you go.
Alrighty. Okay, we'll just dive right in. So the first article that we're bringing back is Article 7. So you'll see in the
Before you go on,
Yeah.
you just made a request of us for the recording that we say Article 7, Association Rights, right? Okay, so people know what we're doing.
Got it, no problem. So the first article we're bringing back is Article 7, Association Rights and Responsibilities. You'll see in the first paragraph, we are picking up your change from in the alternative to alternatively. In number 1, we did not pick up that change. We are thinking we're going to retain the original language, largely because there is already a process in place for bringing these things forward, and so that's why we are going with that. In number 2, we're picking up your change to strike reasonable. In number 3, we picked up the strikeout that you had put in for the 4 disputes, please see section 10B. We are not picking up the other strikeout because that language is found in the, I'm going to refer to it as House Bill 2016. I think you guys are pretty familiar with that whole statutory part. And so that language is largely taken from that statute, with the exception of, instead of saying normal working duties, the statute says normal operations, but we think that that reflects the same thing. And so that's why we would like to see that remain. In number 4, we are picking up your change of removing the word nighttime and adding the word will to that section. Then in number 6, we are not picking up that strike through. Under the PEVCA, the district can charge for the actual cost of producing materials, and we need to retain that language because sometimes the requests are rather voluminous of staff time or what have you, so feel like we need to retain that language. Going on to, in number 7, you had some strikeouts in there as well, which we did not pick up because, again, we feel like these are words that are in the statute, and so we'd like to retain them in the article. Under section 8, we did pick up the grammatical change from as a result of to because of. We did not pick up the bolded added language. And that's, in large part, that's because from our vantage point, the law doesn't require us to necessarily say that the meeting is mandatory. That's not in the statute. What we have to do is make sure we're providing reasonable access and the time, and that is something that we're absolutely committed to doing. The enticement for the employees is they get paid for that time, and so our hope is that they would attend during that portion of the session. They have to either attend, or if they have regular work duties that they're performing or that they go back to, they have to do either or they're not going to get paid, right? We would, and so we would hope that the union might make us aware if hey, this person didn't attend, and we would cross-check that and see that they were not at work and they weren't in your session, so therefore they wouldn't get paid for that time. But putting in that mandatory language, we did not pick that up.
Let me ask you a question about that. So
Yeah.
the problem we're trying to solve here is that we have to talk to these people, like the law says we have to do it, right? Within 30 days and all that stuff. And
Law says you're entitled to do it, and that we have to make sure that you have reasonable access to them.
What do you mean have to?
that's my understanding is that we have to. It's one of the things that are incumbent on us is to convey the union information to them. That it's not optional.
Oh, you're out of compliance with the law? If you
That's
don't meet
what
them?
my concern is, and you understand it to be that it's an entitlement, not. So I'd have to look at that because that would change things. So I guess I'll take a look at that. But that's the
Yeah, I
problem
can
we're
send
trying to
over the
solve.
statutory language to you. I have it pulled up. It is very clear that you absolutely have a right to meet with employees, new employees and existing employees within a structure of, for new employees, it's within a certain amount of days of their hire and for a certain amount of time. For existing employees, there's rules around that. And they're very clear to public employers that we have to give you reasonable access to do that, including a space to do it. The law doesn't say you have to. I mean, obviously, I understand why you would want to and why you would want to communicate that good information to employees about the benefits
Sure.
of your union. But it doesn't require you to meet with them. It says, it actually requires us to make sure you have access to them.
Okay, and that's a piece that I want to look at because that would change the dynamic a bit for us.
Okay.
Because that's the concern we have. That's why it was put in there. So.
Duly noted. So, yeah,
We'll take a look at
definitely
it.
take a look at that.
All right, thank you.
That's our explanation for why we haven't picked up that language
Okay.
in that section. In B, I believe we picked up your change of taking out every and capitalize the word reasonable. Then, trying to find my place between, there we go. There was a kind of a grammatical change in 9A1 to change in the event that to if a. I don't know, we think that in the event that language reads clearer than the if, but I mean, I'm not going to die on that hill. So we didn't pick that up, but that's kind of the thought is that it reads a little clearer the way that it is. With your new language in B, we didn't pick that up. It's not that we don't want to work with you to communicate those dates. It's just in our discussions, having it set out like this actually ties people's hands and may make it more difficult to make sure that that there's some flexibility around the scheduling and with what we're your folks scheduled for being there, for making sure it's responsive to when we start new hires and whatnot. So if there's a counter or there's some other way to think about it, we know that September month in there, that's like after new hires actually start, like at the beginning of the year. So it's just one thing we kind of talked about, would a June date make sense? But then ultimately it was like, this is working. So to communicate those dates that the district holds those meetings already. So yes, we didn't pick it up, but I suppose if there's some thoughts that you want to share about why it's important to have it set out like so prescriptively, we're open to hearing that.
We'll take a look at it.
Then under 10, we did pick up the change, the cross out of front. And then with A and B, we did not pick up your change to eliminate those parts. The way that, again, the reading of the statute is that the parties can negotiate in a collective bargaining agreement certain rules is too tight a word, but certain expectations around kind of the scheduling and all of those pieces, and that can be negotiated and put into an agreement. And that's what this language had done. So if there are issues with kind of how this is set out or the functionality of it, and there's specific challenges like that you're having with what was previously negotiated around these notice pieces and those things, we're open to hearing that, but not necessarily just taking them out entirely.
So the reason we removed it is because we've never done this once and the whole time this language has been in here.
Okay.
It's not because we're having trouble. It's not a process we do. We literally,
Okay.
somebody has an issue, Kim or, whoever Tony would call, we'd go deal with it immediately, or they would run over, let their supervisor know, and go run and deal with something. It just seemed to be much easier.
To
It's
not
not because
have it.
this is failing us, it's because we don't use it.
You're not using
Yeah,
it.
we literally,
Okay.
not once in 6
Okay.
years, so.
So our
Couldn't take it
counter
out.
has it out, but,
Mhm.
or has it in, but we can also discuss that
Yeah.
response in caucus and see whether or not we would put it back in, or.
Yeah, and it's not like,
Yeah,
this,
take it
we
out.
gotta have this, it's like literally,
Right.
we can shorten the document because we do not do it.
Right, because it's not being.
Kind of like a blue law
No,
almost, right?
that's really
Yeah.
helpful, so thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. In C, we picked up the change, the grammatical change for the. Let's see here. We did not pick up the change of striking out D. Again, based on the statute, we fully understand we can't reduce somebody's working hours to sort of offset for this time, but the law does allow us to take steps to kind of control overtime. And so that, we think it's important to leave that language in for that reason as a cost control measure.
I thought we had it placed elsewhere is why I removed it. So it could flex, could comp. I thought we had that somewhere else in the articles.
Okay.
Why I think we removed that. Well, I mean, it's just in 2 places. I mean, we can leave it in there. I mean,
Okay.
very clear, the law says that you don't have to pay overtime.
If
You
when-
do gotta do something, but you don't gotta pay
Right.
overtime, right?
If when
So-
you caucus, you find that and want
Yeah.
to bring, then we can talk about that.
Or it's in one of the other 4 contracts I'm bargaining.
That's possible. There's a lot there's a lot floating
so-
around probably in both of them.
Maybe in one of the ones that we haven't brought forward yet.
No, it would be in this article. They're right about that. I'll take another look.
Okay.
I thought it was duplicate language.
Yeah, we don't need to have
because-
duplicative
Yeah.
language, and maybe
Yeah.
we just didn't catch that.
Because we're not disputing that the law says you have the right to
Yeah.
avoid overtime, as long as we're taking care of it some way. Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, and then we picked up the change in E. Okay, 12. Trying to keep track of all my notes. There was a change in 12D, and I don't know if that was just like an autocorrect that pulled that up, that changed the every space 1 to everyone, but it doesn't read accurately
Oh,
with that
yeah.
change. So we didn't pick that change up in that one. We left the
Yeah.
original.
And it could have been, because our secretaries sweep these beforehand, so they
Right.
could have just thought that that was the fix and not realizing the context, so.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. We just felt like that didn't read
Yeah, that's
correctly. Under 13, we picked up the change in, that you struck out for designated. And then under B, we actually made a change based on just kind of, the district doesn't actually have a human resources director, so that's a cleanup
Right.
there. And then we did not pick up the strikeout, and largely that is just based on the struggle around getting subs, particularly for some of those longer term, those different kinds of absences, and getting coverage and needing time to be able to do that in that.
So
That-
just
go
to
ahead.
clarify, that wouldn't change, like the first one, for instance, right? I think what we did is we took away the 15-day notice because again, we've never used it. We've sent the first one when we've done it, and that's been enough. I mean, it's just one of those things that we just functionally didn't use because it was new language at the time we put it in 7 years ago.
Okay.
So I think that's the difference there. I mean, most of the contracts around you just switched to 3 days because ain't nobody doing 10-day notices. But we could, and you could enforce that. It's in the contract. But it seems to me like we let you know, because if we let you know, if we wanted to play around with this language, hey, we'll let you know for this 10, and then we'll do that. There's ways around it, but we don't do that either, right? We just send you
Right.
the notice. It was more just to clean it up because we don't use it again.
Okay.
So.
We can take that under consideration. I think in our conversations, it was just more around the need to have
Yeah.
some kind of notice to be able to plan, because with certain positions, it could be challenging to
And
find
that's
somebody
exactly why we put it in.
to fill in.
Yeah, initially.
So here's where it got a little squirrely in terms of the formatting.
Okay.
We noticed, what we think that you did in your proposal was to take the existing 14 and 15 and put them under this miscellaneous provisions.
Yes.
And then added to it, and then added possibly a new 15. And so what you'll see is we just retain the existing language, and some of the rationale around that is, I think, with the new language in your section 14, C and D, we're concerned about cost relative to that, and so, you know.
Thank you, Rob.
All right, so when I put in green, I did leave those grammatical changes in gray. I didn't change them to green, but we put in green the stuff where I believe we're in agreement on. We reinstated that sentence that said whenever possible and just got rid of the ever, so it says when possible, under 3. And it shouldn't be struck out. I'm not sure why that 3 is struck out. It should be fine.
Okay.
So we put the whole sentence in, just made it instead of whenever, it says when possible. And then down below here, I put a nice note here, but apparently I forgot to make this change under 6 here. It says 30 days, you'll notice to the right there. We were gonna restore that sentence and just say that you'll send us an invoice within 30 days. That way we're not waiting forever for it if you decide to charge us. So I will correct that when I send the email version to you of these proposals, so you can see that.
Okay.
So hopefully that works for that. And then if you turn the page, so I left this struck 7 here and another section here too, because it sounds like you guys didn't understand that we just don't use it, is why we were removing it. So you'll have to let me know when you have more discussions about that, if that's something you need to have in there or not.
Okay.
But it's there, it's still shown there. We took the first sentence off on number 8 that said that the meetings are mandatory. Just says that we'll let you know if they didn't show up, so you can dock them for the hours pay, which I don't think we had a problem with. And turning the page, so we left B in here because it's my understanding that, for my folks, that we're counting the meeting at the beginning of the school year as one of these 3 meetings. That was not the intent of this language, because we have everybody there. This language here is specifically talking about new hires, okay?
Oh, okay.
And so how we've done it in the past when we first were doing is we did 1 sometime, usually like October-ish, and then we did 2 after the first of the year, is how we were doing them when we first put this language in. Because that meeting, that's the welcome back meeting, has members and non-members alike are all invited, so we can't go over the same information because the people
not
that are
the
members
same.
have already seen it 5 times, right? If
Yeah,
that's
not the
case.
same kind of meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's why we left B in there. Now, we're not married to that language, it's more just we want to make clear that we're talking about 3 meetings for the new hires. And maybe we can maybe with that understanding, if we have that understanding at the table, maybe we can remove that language and just do it that way too, so. But for now, we left B in there because of that. Down below, again, this is struck out because this is part of what was on the other page, the whole process that we don't use at all. And so I just left it struck out until you guys have a chance to talk about it. That's A and B. I think everything else, again, under 13, release time B, as we kind of talked about the difference between the 3 days and the 10 days, and you could just do another 3-day, it wouldn't make sense. So we're waiting to hear back from you on that piece of it to see if that makes sense. Just leave it like that. We did leave it set up 14 with Melissa's, with the miscellaneous provisions, and we left that in there because we think that those things are what we do now. We've done them, most of them for quite a while now. There's a few differences here, but also I think we're also pretty responsible about the time, because that is, I understand that as being a real concern, because you got to pay for that when people are there. But like the other night when we were done at 7 and we didn't be here at 8:30, I was making a joke in the hall, but we did leave an hour and a half earlier. I guess we could have stayed and worked on more stuff, but we just didn't need to be prepared for this meeting. And that was the intent of that time. So we're trying to make sure we have that time in place so that we can make sure that we actually, if we need it, we can use it. But if we don't, we're not going to charge you for it. So just maybe that helps understand that a little bit better.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then 15 is the same language as in 20, with the 1 line removed that you agreed to strike in 20. So turning to 8, this could be a TA. is I believe we agreed to everything, and we adopted your language in C, so I think we might be done with this one, if that looks right to you. 13 job openings. First page, we all agree on striking that. There's nothing on the second page. So the last page, based on our last conversation, we left a lot of language here, but we wanted to really kind of, the part in blue is the newer part where we were talking about, look, the current employees should retain their current pay and seniority for vacation and longevity. So try to isolate that, make it a little clearer that that's what we're talking about for that piece, right? Because I think we had some misunderstanding of what we were offering, and it was kind of written in a way that we understood why you had that misunderstanding, because it just said benefits generally, which could be anything. We're specifically talking about those two pieces. So we highlighted it in blue under number 4 on Article 13. So I'm hoping that makes it clear. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Just ask me questions. I'll try to get it better next time. All right, 20, I believe we are agreeable to everything. We even came back to the 3 personal days. The only thing that we did come back to you on is a little different. I think the rest of the article is actually done. I think we're agreeing on everything else. The one piece that's still out there is the non-family bereavement leave. And we'd asked for 3 days. It's currently 1. We backed that off to 2, and we dropped personal days back down to 3, which is, I mean, there is a few groups with 4 and 1 with 5, but generally 3 is kind of where a lot are. So we thought that might be something that could get this article done if you guys are agreeable to that. And I think that's it for our counters for today. 12 we did not come back on because the break thing, we're still trying to figure it out, and we had a lot of great discussion, and we're hoping that you can, since you have our initial proposal, that you just give us current contract language, you can come up with something that maybe grabs the moment the way we're trying to figure it out. So we're kind of going to wait on that. Okay? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We are bringing back 2 articles that we are hopeful we can also TA.
Yeah, I think we're close on a couple of ours, and hopefully a couple of years, and
Yeah.
Seems like it.
we might be done before. the
Yeah,
end.
we
That'd
did
be
a
nice.
bunch of work on a lot of the stuff that you gave us tonight, and I think there's a lot of things that
There's a lot.
we're so close to. So sorry that there's only 2, but we're getting close on 9 and 10 and some others that we need
Yeah.
to cost and whatnot.
Thank you.
I'm like, which one am I looking at now? Yes, thank you. Sorry. Hitting the wall. So I'm sure everybody is on Friday. It's not-
Where's our 15? The other handy? No, not these. Let's just keep that for 1 second, just look. Oh, I said you could do
Yeah, I have an idea on that.
Can't wait for you to leave.
Okay, so we brought back a counter on the Article 15. We accepted, you'll see, we accepted or we're going to accept the language of the 45, spelling out the days, and the 10. And the 10, we are good with your strikeout there in number 3. And then in number 5, we just kind of reworded it. And hopefully that works for you. So the wording that we would propose is, if a position is reclassified to a higher column, impacted employees will retain their step placement in the adjustment to the new column.
All right, we'll take a look at that.
Yeah,
real
take a
quick.
look at that and make sure that we think that aligns to what you guys had said
Okay.
in your piece. And then with 18, so basically, we're agreeing with all that same strikeout that, of the existing article. And then, we adjusted the numbering, just like because in your proposal, it was like ABC, and I
Yeah.
think in the contract, what we're seeing is 1, 2, 3. So anyway, we just adjusted that information, but we accepted your strikeout in A. I've got to look to see, I think this is existing contract language that it's broken out with the sub A like that. So it's the same language that's in the one that you have for A, it's just broken out with that other piece into that sub A. So there aren't any changes substantively to the wording, but I know you'll have to take a peek at that.
Okay.
And then we agreed to strike your D, our number 4, the long-term emergency closure. So the rest of it should be the same
Okay.
in that one.
All right. Well, give us a couple minutes. We'll get you an answer tonight before we
Okay.
leave. You might be close on both of these, and if you take a look at a
Right,
couple
we'll
of those, maybe
take a
we
look
can
at
tee a
those.
few before we go.
That would be wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.